I'd like to call the Human Resources and Public Works Committee to order. Can I have a motion about the agenda?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support. It's been moved and supported to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. We have an agenda. Next item is call to the public. Do we have any public online?
We do not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Then our first item is consider approving zoning amendment 23-01, which would rezone the subject property from light industrial to agricultural buffer and authorize the board chair to sign the same, the official zoning map. And we have Tim Neoport here today to give us the lowdown. Hi, Tim.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. So this is zoning amendment 2301. It amends our zoning ordinance map in section 24 of Sherman Township. Basically what we have here is we have a piece of property which when Sherman Township folded back into the county in about 2014, they had this property, I believe, zoned as industrial. When it moved back to the county, we zoned it as industrial as well. North of this property, all the way up to Wademan Road on the east side of school is all property zoned industrial. However, this property does have a single family residence on it. I believe the township thought that maybe it would turn over to industrial at some point. But a family or an individual purchased this property with a single family dwelling on it, began to clean it up and would like to expand the residence that's on the property. Unfortunately, in the industrial district, we don't allow single family residences. So what we did was we offered to the individual that we would move this forward from staff's perspective without application from the individual and look to have it rezoned back to an Ag 3 buffer, agricultural buffer district. The Ag 3 buffer district does surround the property on all sides except to the north. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on this, had no written or oral comments with regard to the application prior to the meeting. However, at the meeting, Mr. Richard Schmidt, he is a representative from Sherman Township, who's kind of appointed by the board to kind of liaison planning and zoning issues for the township. He comes to our meetings quite regularly. He did speak on behalf of this. Typically, he speaks on behalf of the township. And in this case, the township was torn. Some of them thought we could leave it industrial. Some of them thought that it should be rezoned. So they pretty much basically stayed neutral on it, according to Richard. We as staff and the Planning Commission both feel that this property should be rezoned so that the applicant or the new owner can enjoy it as a single family residence. And at some point down the road in the future, if it does move to industrial, there'll be industrial pressure, from the north that we could always rezone this back. So at this time, the Planning Commission did move to recommend to the county board to rezone this property to agricultural 3.
That seems pretty straightforward. I'm glad you're so flexible.
Sure, we want to make sure that the citizens get what it is that they purchased for, and the purpose that they've purchased for it is as much as we feasibly can.
Okay, any questions or comments on that?
Just one question, Tim. Did I see in here somewhere that it's about 5 acres?
It
So-
is roughly about 5 acres. It's a narrow, long piece. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but it is a very narrow, long piece of property. So it's not real wide up against the road, but I believe it goes almost, if not a full quarter, 660 deep. It's pretty darn close to that.
Yeah. Okay.
There.
Okay. That being said, I make a motion to consider approving zoning amendment 2301, which would rezone the subject property from light industrial I-1 to agriculture buffer AG-3 and authorize the board chair to sign the official zoning map.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 4 to the work and regular session of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. The ayes carry. Item 4 will be forwarded to next week's meeting. Our next item is consider approving zoning amendment 23-02, which would rezone the subject property from commercial industrial C1 to light industrial I1 and authorize the board chair to sign the official zoning map.
Yeah, so this is another zoning amendment to the map. This one happens to be in section 19 of Nottawa Township. This property is currently zoned in that commercial industrial district and is looking to be zoned to I1, which is the light industrial district. There was no public comment for or against this item, either before the meeting in writing or at the meeting during the public hearing of the Planning Commission on July 13th. And the Planning Commission did recommend approval on this one too. This is Strauss's Masonry. They own a piece over there that is, again, size-wise 15 acres, 12 acres-ish, I think it was. And what they have is, Strauss's Masonry has been there a long time. The Planning Commission back in 1989, I believe it was, indicated this whole section to be CI, commercial industrial. What that basically meant was any use that's permitted by right in the commercial district or any use that's permitted by right in the industrial district can happen there. It's kind of this mixed use sort of activity. We probably about 10, 12 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, started getting some development happening in that section. Strauss's Masonry was already there. And some of those uses that are permitted in those districts didn't quite fit what someone wanted to do. For example, on Wademan Road, there is a storage units or we call them mini warehouses in the ordinance. And those are permitted in the industrial district, but they're permitted by a special use permit. They're not permitted by right. So in the CI district, they can't happen. So the Planning Commission a number of years ago decided that they would rezone pieces of property if somebody would want a special use in those areas because the ordinance didn't allow it by right. So this is exactly what's going on at Strauss's Masonry. They have a building on the north side of the property that already exists. They want to convert that building over into a storage unit or a mini warehouse. It's currently not permitted by right in the district. And so they're looking to rezone it to industrial, which makes maintains the masonry business as a usable business in the industrial district, and then allows them to apply for a special use permit, which is actually better, I think, for the city, for the community, the residences and the homes around it, because under the special use permit, it requires Planning Commission approval. It requires a public hearing, people to know what's going on. It allows the Planning Commission to replace some contingencies on the property if they see some issues there. So it's actually a better activity and a better use for them to move it to industrial, to move towards the mini warehouse type plan that they're looking at. So Planning Commission did hear this at their last meeting. Like I said, there was no public comment about it, and they did make a recommendation to the board to approve this. Do you have any questions about that one?
No, this is right around the corner from me, Tim, and everything through there is basically the same thing, so.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Can I get a motion on that,
Yep.
please?
Make a motion to consider approving zoning amendment 23-02, which would rezone the subject property from commercial industrial C1 to light industrial I1 and authorize the board chair to sign the official zoning map.
Support. It's been moved and seconded to move the item 5 to the work and regular sessions of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. The ayes carry, and item 5 will be moved to next week's meeting. Our next item is consider approving the memorandum of agreement between Central Michigan
Thanks, Tom.
University and Isabella County on behalf of the material recovery facility, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have Jake Gordon here, the first director. Hi, good morning, Jake.
Good morning. How are we all doing today?
Fabulous.
Good. What we have is we've moved away from a contract situation with CMU. the biggest reason doing so is the labor intensity of bidding a contract in comparison to being able to do the MOA. This is still contractual, but it's a tremendous amount less labor intensive. I think Administrator Frost could remember the last time that when we bid this contract, it's about 2.5 weeks worth of work to be able to make sure you fit all the parameters of what they require on their contract. There's a lot of stuff that has to go into it. But we've been in a contract with them since 1991. This just makes it kind of cleans things up, makes it a lot easier to be able to bid that contract. As you can see in the MOA, there is 2 slight edits to this. You will have them in your original board packet when it goes to you guys. But the edits, the difference in it in the very first page on memorandum of agreement, where it talks about the university and Isabella County on behalf of Isabella County. It should read, and it will read, material recovery facility. I think they have municipal recycling facility, or something along that line. So that's a small language change there. And the other language change was on the very last page of this, where it talks about an attachment C, Charity Suite Operations Manager. They had it as Charity Sweetie. They had a Y on it. We've edited that out. So it says Charity Suite Operations Manager for the recycling facility. So there was 2 small errors on there that were corrected and have been cleaned up. So and as far as the financial impact, what Jonathan Webb and myself during the conversation or negotiation of this agreed upon was that we needed to level up for the county dollar wise. He come back to me, he said, why is there so much change in what we're looking at dollar wise? And I said, because I can guarantee you've had no changes at a minimum for 9 years. We have not increased pricing on them in 9 years. So where we're starting at is there is a $40 processing charge for them, and there is a $30 trip fee to start with in the first year. As you can see, and it's explained in here, then we'll continue. There's an increase to each one of them each year over the 5-year contract, $2.50 on the processing and $3.75 on the trip charge, increase every year on that. So I think, I can't remember the exact numbers and I should, but I think we were at about 56,000 a year on that contract originally. We're moving to 58,000, a little over 58,000 the first year, and that will continue to increase. As you can see at the end of the 5-year period, we're at right over 333,000, almost $334,000. So there is some definite increase in pricing. So it kind of gets us where we need to be fee wise, fee structure. We're not, we're at the point where we were making, it was costing us money just to go to this campus. And we need, and that's part of the reason why the willingness to work with them. I took a no different approach than what I did with when we started charging the Michigan Industries, a gradual step increase. With Mid-Michigan Industries, we set their fees a little bit lower considering the workforce that they were working with. So that's part of the reason why I took that approach. With this, it has been 9 years. Let's not throw all that money at them, which we'd love to be able to do. But let's at least slowly ramp it up to get it to where it should be, or closer by all means. So there is, it is a 5-year contract, but there is escape language in it as you read through the MOA. So, Nicole and I had worked on it so that we did understand that, by doing this, we can still get out of this contract, or we can renegotiate fees if needed to. So, and both parties agree on that. So as you can see, my recommendation is that, we have the board chair sign MOA with CMU to be able to move forward with it. Any questions?
Do you think that they understand that? I mean, that they were getting a great deal.
They do.
Boy,
I know.
Jonathan very much knew he was getting a good deal. He said, but I have to justify it by to my
Oh, yeah.
hires and in the explanation to him is that, I mean, if they don't believe they were getting a good deal, look at what your trip and tip charge was 9 years ago compared to where it is right now. And I think they'll have very good understanding that there's a no fee increase. So I was very quick to point that out to him.
And the contract we had in place allowed for automatic increases every year that we didn't take advantage of
Oh,
because
really?
we didn't want to interrupt our relationship with CMU. But I think this goes to show what a great relationship we do have with them. We can still provide them better service and cheaper service that they can get out in the market. We value that relationship and they do too. So I think that just goes to show, and I applaud you, Jake, for sitting down with them like that and coming to a wonderful contract for the county.
And I think this is the first time in at least the 9-year period that I know of that CMU has actually switched waste haulers. They are moving away from waste management that they've had for 9 years. That changes, not that that has anything to do with this, but it does kind of, it kind of shows where they're at in their process as they move forward. They're looking at and taking all of that into consideration dollar wise.
Where are they going with, do you know?
They're moved to Granger.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Great Granger's up and coming.
Granger's not as much as up and coming as what GFL is. I'm
Yeah.
absolutely shocked that GFL didn't bid that contract in.
Yeah.
I really am, because they've made major pushes into Michigan. And are buying anything and everything. In fact, the big wonder was, when is GFL gonna buy Granger?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And there's still that possibility. GFL wants that landfill in Lansing that Granger has.
Huh.
And you don't do a major US expansion with not taking a look at all of that. They've been buying up waste organizations all the way across the US.
Oh,
Their intention was, their CEO's intention was to be in the top 5 in the world, not just in the US. So they've been on a major buying spree all the way across the country, and they just finished up what is it? They call it a divestiture of properties on a major purchase of a company out of I believe it was out of Texas. They finished that up, and their appetite will get big again here pretty quick. So.
I know that you've cultivated that relationship with CMU and worked with Jonathan Webb pretty closely, and I appreciate that. How much of their volume, do you know, as a percentage, as far as the MRF, how much of your material comes from CMU?
Probably only about, I'm gonna say maybe 12%. It's not a small amount, but it's not a large amount. I think for the most part, I have figured that waste management brings us about 60% of the material coming inbound. And it might be a little bit less than that now, but somewhere in that area. And then what we're bringing into the county is probably running a little bit above. Well, it's running up quite a bit above where CMU is. Some of the things that when we've made changes on our curbside, we switched from out of Lincoln Township just to depots. We are seeing an increase in that amount of material actually coming out of the depot sites than what we were getting off of curbside alone.
Wow.
So we have seen that they are willing to work with that, and knowing that and their understanding of us not being able to afford to run that kind of mileage through their township and not be able to pull the material. The residents have moved to be able to bring that material to the depot site. So we've seen an increase in that. We're also starting to see increases coming on the depot in Blanchard, which is Rollin Township Depot. Since we've ended that curbside contract, we're starting to see a higher influx of material than what we were pulling out of Rollin Township.
Is that surprising? I mean, it seems like it'd be more convenient to do curbside, and so when you stop that, it seems like it'd go down or something.
It is, but I think they've also done a good job in getting to their residents, to let them know that, hey, you still have the ability to recycle. We couldn't afford to continue to pay that township fee, without, taking that to the taxpayer.
Mhm.
Because both Lincoln and Rollin, I believe was on the tax roll, but Lincoln Township paid that out of their general fund rather than taxing the citizens
Got
for
it.
that. So that's part of the reason why you see that adjustment. Rollin Township wanted to be able to do some special need fixes on roads, I believe was the original comment on why they looked to end that contract. So,
Got it.
rather than increase a fee to the taxpayer, they just readjusted. And we worked with them to be able to make sure that they still had good service at the depot site. So that was,
Did Ron expand the hours that depot is open? I know
Yes.
that was a limitation. Good. I'm glad that they
Yeah.
responded.
yeah, that is open 24 hours, 7 days now. Where before it was open one Saturday a month. Either the second or fourth Saturday. Or first and
You don't
third.
want to miss
because
it, whichever one it was.
it was-
You
it
don't
was-
wanna miss it.
It was the first Saturday because the third Saturday, as it stands right now, Broomfield Township is open the third Saturday of the month. It's only open that one day.
Wow.
And again, it's something that I continue to try and do outreach on to be able to see if we can get them to get that one open all the time. The issue that you run into with them in the rural areas is that when people see it open like that, they have a tendency to consider it a drop-off site for everything. And that's where, some apprehension is there on it. So. But, they have set up some cameras. I think if we continue to educate and let them know that, if you put up cameras or at least put up signage that indicates, there is a camera on site. And it's not a dump, or a waste drop off, that, that education piece of it for them, I think we may be able to move on with that one as well and get that to open every day. Because we do see increases in that material. And again, as we move through the whole material management plan, part of that material management plan is the education piece. That, getting to the townships and all of that is going to be critical for as far as that material management plan as well. One of my other ideas that I have, and it's not something that I presented, but I am going to start pushing an avenue to possibly start talking to the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe about an education coordinator under their pay but under the supervision of the director's position at the recycling department. They at least take a lead from that it would be under their pay though. As it stands right now, financially, it works better for us to be able to do that. But what it would do is be able to possibly employ another tribal member for that education side of it for the county. So it's an idea I'm going to throw out to the tribe. Whether it comes to fruition, we don't know. But if we don't present it, we know it'll never happen.
Right.
Is Kevin Chamberlain the director of recycling?
He is their education coordinator.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I don't, I know it's listed as the education coordinator. Is he their point of contact? Yes.
'Cause he was real interested in all that kind of
Yes.
stuff when we went to that conference.
And Kevin had actually expressed, I've kind of had a conversation with Kevin and he had expressed interest in doing just what I had just talked about with that education piece. He's a very good communicator and I think he'd be a good person for it. But they also have other areas of need on that reservation for that education coordinator. So is that the possibility of them being able to, maybe employ a just recent graduate of CMU or something along that line? It may be, and that's the angle that I would look to try and push to. So,
Sounds good.
Oh, no other questions. We'll consider approving the memorandum of agreement between Central Michigan University and Isabel County on behalf of the material recovery facility and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 6 to the work and regular session of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Ayes carry. Item 6 will be forwarded to next week's meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jake?
Thanks, Jake.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thursday, happy fair week.
Happy Thursday. So I know we're just getting in the groove of coming to committee and then full board. So I hope I don't throw you too big of a curveball at this one, but I think all that's on their agenda for committee is the agreement for extension services. You're welcome to go through the presentation, but I just want to be clear, we do have you on Tuesday's agenda next week to present to the whole board.
Right,
The annual report. too.
Okay.
So maybe,
I can give a snapshot of it.
absolutely,
and then-
absolutely. I don't want you to be disappointed that you have to do it today and next Tuesday.
Well,
It's
we'll
up
make
to
it
you.
for last time because I didn't show up to the board meeting last time. I didn't know I needed to do both of them, so.
Thought his work was done. at
Yeah, we'll
committee, so-
take the pressure off of you at the board meeting next time, right?
Yeah, you know there'll be another one.
Nicole got to do Nicole got to do the presentation last time for her because thought we were done, so.
I was honored. I was honored.
Well, thank you for letting me be here today and I'll look forward to seeing you all again next week as well. I'll share just a couple of highlights from this is for fiscal year 22. I think we continue for MSU Extension to be very staff fortunate here. We have a very strong team. I got goosebumps, we thought, obviously losing Paul, to retirement, we didn't know where that was going to go. But Monica Jean has stepped in, so she's providing services and she's very deeply connected to and still works with Paul. He came in my office and scared me yesterday, so he's still around. But then we also hired my replacement from the Farm Stress, Misty Obel. She's up there now. She's in training, and so she's really starting to gain traction in terms of engaging with the farming community and getting out there and going to different events. And I'm really excited to see some of the different things that she's going to bring to the table too, because she wants to continue on with developing some of those natural supports and continuing on with, I think, really creating some new ideas, new strategies for engaging with farmers that are under stress, and while continuing on with the different programs that we had in there. So I think and then obviously, we're fortunate we have, Noni and Kara and Sabrina and Christy. They've been there for an extended period of time too. So maybe I'll leave it at that unless there are questions.
And we're lucky to have you house here as
well,
well as the district director.
Thank you.
That's unfortunate, or
It's
that's
unfortunate that I'm running
unusual,
out.
not unfortunate, unusual to have the district director. So
Yeah.
That's neat.
Well, I'm very fortunate here too. I mean, I think we have a good support system in Isabella County too. So, and hopefully feel the same with all of those pieces too. So, yeah, and I think, I can share more of the numbers and the increases, I think, at the board meeting, unless there are questions with that.
All good.
Okay.
Good reading material.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you can dig through it and then call me out in front of the big board next week, right? So I guess in terms of the MOA, it's pretty standard in terms of what it's historically been with Isabella County. We did ask for a 3% increase this year. But other than that, it's the base assessment, the full-time clerical support, the additional to make the 4-H program coordinator a full-time position, and then the master gardener allocation for that. So this year's ask for MSU Extension is $174,779.
And that amount has been built into the fiscal 24 requested budget. It's not like we have to add any more because of the increase. We anticipated that at the time.
Right.
Any other questions?
Nope, it's all good stuff, valuable services.
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay, we'll consider approving the agreement for extension services between Michigan State University and the Isabella County for fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $174,779 and authorize board chair to sign the same.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 7 to the work and regular sessions of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. The ayes have it, and this item number 7 will be forwarded to our next week's meeting. Thanks, Eric.
Well, thank you all very much.
Look forward to
Alright,
seeing you
Take care.
Tuesday,
That's 7, right?
5:30. I'm
5:30.
glad you asked.
Okay,
Yeah, it used to, the old 4 o'clock work session, which is now 5:30.
5:30, okay.
You can stick around for the 7 o'clock, but
Alright.
there's generally.
Sure, Brian will forward that to me, right?
Yes, those will go out tomorrow.
Yes, all right,
Yes.
awesome.
Applications will go out.
All right, great, thank you. Take
Thanks,
care.
Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay. Item 8 is consider accepting the Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation Healthy Youth, Healthy Seniors Fund Grant Award in the amount of $777.61 and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have Jen Crawford. Join us on. Hi.
Good morning.
Morning.
So this, this item and the next item on the agenda are just another great example of the amazing relationships that our organization has with CMU. So we were approached, gosh, I was approached, it's probably been a year and a half ago or so by one of their faculty who teaches a grant writing class. And she was wondering if her students could work with us and gain hands-on experience writing grants for practical things that we could actually use. And so, of course, we said, yes, we would love to work with them and see what they can come up with. And so we met with the instructor, and then we brought in some students, and then they worked really well with, they worked with Jen Martin specifically because all the programs that they've written grants for were her ideas and things that she and her team will use. And they write their grants, so they're using the template for the Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation's grant cycle, or their grant template. And so when the grant cycle opened, we actually submitted a couple of the grants that we've received so far, and they both were awarded. And so this first one, so basically we're just asking you to approve accepting these funds for us to use. This first one is for the medication lock bags and lock boxes. So this is something that we keep here in-house. We keep supplies if someone comes in and they could use these. It just helps, with the opiate crisis that we're under and anything else, just keeping everybody else safe. Just provides an opportunity for our older adults that we serve to keep their medications in a safe, locked area. So we would have them here. Our case managers also have them and take them out to the homes, as well as our aides. If a client is in need of them, we can just hand them out and give them, because the safer we can make the community, the better with that. So with this grant was for $777.61. And it should allow us to purchase approximately 400 of these lock boxes and bags.
Very good.
Any questions or comments on this?
No, wonderful thing.
Yes.
Thank for working with them and thank them.
Yeah, absolutely. We have more grants that we're waiting to submit. We're just waiting for it to open back up. So it's awesome, and it's going to continue. They want to keep working with us, and we keep thinking of new ideas, and it's awesome.
Okay, with that being said, consider accepting the Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation Healthy Youth, Healthy Senior Fund Grant Award in the amount of $777.61 and authorize the board chair to sign this.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 8 to the work and regular session of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. The ayes carry. Item 8 will be moved to our next week's meetings of the county commission. Okay, our next item in the same vein, consider accepting the Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation Isabella County Health Improvement Fund Grant Award in the amount of $5,922 and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
So this is the second grant that we submitted. The dementia bracelets, it's a newer thing. We had a presentation at the statewide Michigan Directors on Services of the Aging conference that I went to not too long ago, and then Jen also heard about this. So there's multiple companies now that are working on this idea where you can purchase a bracelet, and they either have a GPS component to them or a QR code. So that if an older adult with dementia, if they have this bracelet on and if they get lost, and if someone is able, they can either track them with the GPS, or if they have the QR code, if they come up, someone with any smartphone, they can scan that QR code and it would bring up all their information to be able to contact their emergency contacts. So it's just an incredible gift for and peace of mind for a caregiver caring for somebody with dementia if we were able to help them with this. And so with this grant, this would allow us to purchase approximately 100 of those bracelets. And it's something that our caregiver trainer, who works so closely with caregivers, can start working with them and seeing if they would be open to this idea. And if so, we could start getting these out into the community for those that we serve that have dementia.
Boy, that's a cool use of technology and,
Yes.
I remember when the QR codes first came out, they really didn't catch on, but now you see them everywhere and
Mhm.
people always were, but people just didn't know it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and if it can help save somebody or keep somebody safe, wow, that's a great tool.
Hey, Jen, do you have any, I don't want to say kickback, but the elderly sometime and identifying dementia, them wanting to wear this?
Mhm. I think that would be the only issue would be, finding those folks that this is something that they would be open to. And also having the individual keep it on. So it might be some strategies that have to be put in place to help make that work. But it's something we're willing to try and give it a shot. There are some other communities that have started using these. And so even if it saves one, that would be just an incredible thing. So
Know that as I was reading through this, I was thinking of my dad and there's no way in hell he would have wore one,
mhm.
but my mom would have. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll consider accepting the Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation Isabella County Health Improvement Fund Grant Award in the amount of $5,922 and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
Support. It's been moved and supported to move item 9 to work in regular session of the county commission next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Ayes carried. As item 9 will be forwarded to our next week's meeting of the county commission.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
Jen.
you.
Have a great day.
Too.
Okay, any public?
Is not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
I'd be shocked.
Director Neport is still on though. I see he started his video, so I'm not sure if he's for something or just to wake up the household.
I just wanted to say thanks and we'll see you guys next week.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks.
Have a good time.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything anybody want to add at this time?
Nope.
Okay, we'll adjourn the meeting and see you all next week.
Okay.
I think,
Sounds
yeah,
good.
I don't have anything to say. I had.